Listen, I need to tell you about something that happened to me yesterday morning that I genuinely cannot stop thinking about. And it involves what might be the most insane piece of sports television I have ever watched in my entire life. And I'm not talking about a game, I'm not talking about a highlight reel moment, I'm talking about a full 2-hour episode of First Take that felt like it was engineered on purpose like a Hollywood thriller, where they drop one key piece of information right at the start and then make you sit through the entire show just to get the payoff. And by the time that reveal finally hit, bro, I was literally standing in my living room yelling at the TV. And I'm about to walk you through everything because the build-up, the tension, and the little clues Stephen A. was dropping the whole time made it feel unreal for a sports talk show. And the ending involving Tyrese Maxey and the Los Angeles Lakers was honestly shocking on another level. But real quick, before we get into it, hit that like button because that's what decides whether this reaches real fans or just disappears in the algorithm. And it takes 1 second, but it actually helps more than you think. So let me take you back to the very beginning because this is where the hook gets set. The show opens up, First Take comes on, Molly Curran is in her seat, Stephen A. is there, Shannon Sharpe is across from him, and before anything even starts, Molly looks straight into the camera with this expression like she already knows something nobody else does. And she basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, "Stay with us today because at the end of the show, Stephen A. has an exclusive report that's going to be the biggest story of the entire offseason." And that was it. No details, no hints, no sport, no player, nothing. She just drops that bomb and moves on like it's normal programming. And I'm sitting there with my coffee like, wait, what did she just say? The biggest story of the offseason and we have to wait until the end of the show? And I look at Stephen A. and he's got that exact face, like a man who knows something huge is coming and he's enjoying every second of everyone not knowing it yet. He doesn't say a word about it, just that little smirk, and then he jumps straight into the first topic like nothing happened. And Shannon Sharpe is even worse because he's sitting there with this calm, locked-in energy like he already knows the answer, but he's not giving anything away. At one point, he even looks at the camera and says, "Y'all are gonna want to stay for the end of this one," and that's all he gives. And I'm watching the live chat go crazy with people typing in all caps like, "What is it? Stop playing, tell us now." But the show just keeps going like normal, debating regular sports topics like they didn't just drop the biggest tease of the year on live TV. And here's where it starts getting even crazier, because as the show goes on, Stephen A. starts dropping these tiny clues, these little breadcrumbs that you could easily miss if you weren't locked in. But if you were paying attention, and trust me, I was locked in, you could start piecing everything together. So the very next segment after that tease is a debate about point guard play in the NBA, and they're breaking down which teams actually need to upgrade their backcourt this offseason. It feels normal at first, just a standard sports talk conversation with nothing out of the ordinary. They're naming different franchises, different roster issues, and then Stephen A. casually drops a line about how some teams are making moves nobody knows about yet. And he says it so smoothly, like it's just a passing comment, but he drags out that word "yet" just a little too long, and I caught it instantly. And in my head, I'm like, wait a second, is that the clue? Because now it feels like this exclusive report is tied to some kind of hidden roster move, maybe even something involving a point guard. And the live chat is starting to catch on too, so now the speculation is already spinning out of control. Then they shift into the next segment, and this one is about the Los Angeles Lakers. At first, it feels like a coincidence, just a normal off-season discussion about what the Lakers need to fix around LeBron and AD, but then Stephen A. starts going deeper, almost like he's outlining a blueprint instead of just talking. He's breaking down exactly what the Lakers are missing at point guard, step by step. Speed, perimeter creation, shooting from deep, explosiveness off the dribble, and the ability to push the pace in transition. And then he adds something even bigger, saying they need someone young enough to eventually take over as the franchise cornerstone when LeBron is gone. And at that point, I'm sitting there thinking, hold up, this doesn't sound like analysis anymore, this sounds like a scouting report on a specific player. Because Shannon barely says anything in the whole segment, which is already suspicious on its own, and then he leans in and says somebody out there checks every single box Stephen A. just mentioned. And Stephen A. just smiles and moves on on like he didn't hear it. And now I'm fully locked in because all the dots are starting to connect in real time. A secret offseason move, a perfect positional breakdown, and now a profile that feels way too specific to be random. So I start running through names in my head, and the one that keeps coming back is Tyrese Maxey, because Maxey fits everything Stephen A just described perfectly. The shooting, the speed, the shot creation, the explosiveness, all of it. And I'm thinking there is no way they're actually about to say this on live TV. This would shake the entire league. But then the conversation keeps going, and the next segment shifts straight into the Philadelphia 76ers, and now they're talking about whether the Sixers have truly maximized the Maxey and Embiid partnership. And this is where Stephen A gets even more direct, pointing out that Maxey wants pace and transition while Embiid thrives in a slower half-court system built around post play. And he basically says out loud that at some point you have to question whether keeping that duo together is even fair to either player.
And that word fair really sticks with me because it basically suggests that one of them might be better off somewhere else. And Shannon jumps right in and adds even more fuel to it by saying sometimes the best thing you can do for a player is let them go somewhere where they can actually thrive. And now I'm putting it all together in real time. The Lakers need exactly what Maxey brings. The Sixers potentially need to rework things around Embiid, and an exclusive report coming at the end of the show that was supposed to be the biggest story of the offseason. And at this point, I'm almost fully convinced I figured it out, but I still need that final confirmation. And the worst part is the show still has nearly an hour left and it feels like torture at this point. And the live chat has completely lost control. People are typing in all caps like Maxey to the Lakers, just say it already. But the show just keeps rolling. They go into a segment on defensive schemes, then coaching changes, then the draft. And in every single one, Stephen A drops another small clue. In the defensive segment, he mentions a team about to fix its biggest weakness. In the coaching segment, he talks about a franchise about to undergo a full transformation. In the draft segment, he hints that not every team will even need the draft to improve this offseason. And individually, those lines don't seem like much, but together they start forming a clear picture. A team fixing a major issue, a team reshaping its future, and a team making a shortcut to get better right now. And all of that keeps pointing back to the same destination, the Lakers. And the same type of player keeps coming up, a young, explosive, two-way guard who can shoot, create, and control tempo. And at this point, it's no longer a guess. It feels like it's being slowly revealed in front of everyone. And Shannon is just feeding the tension the whole time, saying things like we're getting close every time they come back from break. And finally, we get to the last segment of the show. Molly sets it up perfectly, reminding everyone that Stephen A promised an exclusive report that would define the offseason. And then Stephen A stands up, adjusts his jacket, stares straight into the camera, and pauses like he's about to drop something historic. And then he says he has been told by multiple trusted sources that the Los Angeles Lakers and the Philadelphia 76ers are engaged in serious discussions centered around Tyrese Maxey. And the entire studio erupts instantly. Shannon jumps up, clapping, the crew reacts audibly, and you can literally feel the energy shift in real time. And Stephen A keeps going, pacing now, explaining that Rob Pelinka has been working the phones for weeks, and talks have already moved into real frameworks involving players and picks. And in that moment, I'm just frozen because all the clues finally snapped into place. Because now it's not speculation anymore, it's confirmed conversation, real league-level movement. And then Stephen A goes even deeper, explaining that Maxey's camp isn't even opposed to the idea of Los Angeles, that he respects the Lakers' history, the legacy of the franchise, and what it would mean to step into that spotlight.
And he even breaks down how a Maxey and Anthony Davis pick and roll would be almost impossible to defend in today's NBA. He talks about the succession plan, how Maxey would eventually take the keys from LeBron and become the face of the franchise for the next decade. And he says this isn't just the Lakers being interested. He says the Sixers are actually seriously considering it because they believe they can reshape the roster around Embiid in a way that could finally unlock better playoff results, especially with the way Maxey's pace clashes with Embiid's slower half-court style. And Shannon, who has been holding back all morning like he's been waiting for this exact moment, finally jumps in, and he says, "I've known about this for 2 days and not saying anything has been killing me on this show." But Stephen A is right. This is the biggest story of the offseason. Tyrese Maxey in a Lakers uniform changes everything in the West. That team with Maxey, AD, and whatever version of LeBron is left, that's an instant contender. And 5 years from now, when LeBron is gone, you're looking at a potential dynasty with Maxey and AD. And Molly, to her credit, steps in and brings the reality check, pointing out that nothing is finalized, and these kinds of talks can fall apart at any moment. She reminds everyone that the Sixers could change direction, other teams could jump in, and nothing is guaranteed. But even she admits this is massive news, and that the fact these conversations are happening at all signals a real shift in the league landscape. And I'm sitting there watching all of this unfold, thinking about how brilliantly this episode was put together. Because by teasing the report at the very beginning and slowly feeding clues throughout the entire 2 hours, they didn't just report news, they turned it into a full experience. They turned the audience into detectives trying to solve a live mystery. And by the time the reveal finally hit, it wasn't just information anymore. It felt like payoff. It felt like the ending of a story we had all been dragged into from the first minute. And honestly, that's what makes it great television. But the actual rumor itself is just as massive, because Tyrese Maxey to the Los Angeles Lakers would change everything. The Lakers get the young, dynamic guard they've been searching for, the Sixers get the flexibility to build a roster that actually fits Embiid's style, Maxey gets a massive stage and a system that would maximize his speed alongside Anthony Davis, and the NBA gets a storyline that would dominate the entire decade. And now that I know the outcome, I can go back and see how every clue was hitting in plain sight. Teams making moves nobody knows about yet, the Lakers and Sixers discussions. Solving their biggest problem, the Lakers' point guard issue. Complete transformation, shifting from LeBron-centric to a new era. Not needing the draft, a blockbuster trade instead of patience. Every single piece was there the whole time. And that's what makes it even better. Not just the news itself, but how it was delivered like a mystery unfolding in real time. And now the question is, what happens next? Because if those sources are right and talks are really this advanced, we might be looking at one of the biggest NBA trades in years. And when a player like Maxey becomes available, teams don't hesitate. They move fast and go all in.